What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So earlier this year I was able to attend a collectibles show which was called Retromania. This one was hosted in New Braunfels, Texas, and was in the Civic Center. Apparently they do have this as an annual event, an annual show, which I hadn't heard about until just recently. So I did get to attend this show and check out all the really cool collectible figures and comics, video games, just everything you can think of really that was from our time. So in this convention center there were multiple rooms. They all pretty much had very similar type of items. Each of them did have mainly the toys, but there were comic books, lunch boxes, just anything that you could really think of. So throughout this video, I basically went and just recorded a bunch of the different retro toys that I saw and came across. I didn't really purchase anything from this show. Everything was just a little bit outside of my price range and wasn't really anything that I was really looking to collect. However, just seeing everything just really was very impressive, really brought me back to that childhood. So here you can see like the Ninja Turtles. We had the turtle van, which is selling for about $80, and each of the turtles themselves are going for about $50. This was a really cool wall. It had a lot of the 90s Superman action figure toys, the Man of Steel line. Now if you've seen my other channel, Just BSing, Steven has been collecting a lot of these Man of Steel figures. So look for us to eventually do a line on that. We also did come across the Hall of Justice from the Superpowers line, and if you saw that, there was a brief appearance of Brainiac. Some of the other really cool figures, we did have lots of multiverse, so it wasn't necessarily just from the 80s itself. We did have, of course, some of the newer toys as well. These were all pretty much priced the same everywhere else. You can see a lot of these Dragon Ball action figures, very cool figures. I used to collect those. This was one of my favorite ones, the Lobo action figure and his hog. I'm very impressed with those. I was tempted to get that piece, but ultimately passed on it. You can also see, look at this, we had the Masters of the Universe Castle Grayskull. We have Stripes, Star Trek, and then this Batman action figure was just really impressive. There was a lot of different DC multiverse action figures themselves. Actually take that back. I did purchase a Action Comics 1000 Superman. Now here you can also see the original Batman '89. This Batman I had as a kid, the bat rope and everything. $25 was a pretty good deal for it. Ultimately I did pass on it. It would have been really cool to actually own. Again, just to have it, have on display for y'all. Now, there were some Superpowers action figures, so you can see here that we do have Darkseid, which they were selling for $70, and I didn't see how much they had the Lex Luthor for. What else do we have here? Oh yes, the comic cards. These were fantastic to see because I had collected a whole lot of these as a kid, especially the Batman Returns and the Cosmic cards. Actually, these Cosmic cards were the first ones that I had actually ever collected. Overall, they were selling pretty decent, only about $2 a pack, so not terrible, but just really awesome to see those again. You can see here we do have the Batman Returns cards, Jurassic Park, I didn't even know they had those, G.I. Joe, and these Goosebumps. There were some really cool action figures. As you can see here, there was the DC Universe versus Masters of the Universe Classics, Superman versus He-Man. But this was a pretty cool crossover. I may have to go find this one just so I can read that story. And definitely another bunch of characters that we grew up with were the X-Men. So we did have a lot of really good X-Men figures, Spider-Man, Star Wars as well. These weren't the actual superpowers themselves. I'm actually not sure what these were. These were more like the 13-inch figures, or 12-inch figures, I think is what they were. Those were really cool to see. And then we did have just a wide range of open box action figures as well. There is the Action Comics 1000 Superman right there. Not the one I purchased. I actually got the one in box, so it wasn't just a loose figure like that, but that is the exact one that I also purchased. So this was a great show to see a lot of these types of figures. So I definitely recommend trying to look up Retromania if it's going to be in your town. Also, in my earlier days, I did do some model car building, and I had no idea that they actually had the Joker getaway car that was featured in the Batman movie. So it was really cool to see this one as well. What else? We also had some pretty tall Superman and Batman figures. This one with Brandon Routh, Superman. This was a really nice one for about $100, a little bit, like I said, outside of my price range for it. But we did see this really cool Man of Steel, Ultimate Man of Steel figure, and I did have this one as a kid as well. Now this was the Action Comics 1000 Superman that I actually purchased. It is one of my all-time favorite Superman figures. Super happy to have this one. You can see it most of the time on display in the background. And what collectible show wouldn't be complete without Star Wars? There were so many Star Wars figures here. There was a gentleman here that was looking for a Star Wars playset. They actually had two of them at this event. One of them was in pretty much immaculate condition. The other one was just missing a couple pieces. I'm not sure if he bought either one of those, but a lot of these were just really cool. We had the C-3PO and the Darth Vader carry cases that you were able to store all your action figures in. So you could definitely buy most of these if you wanted to actually restock those. And there were a lot of the original Star Wars figures in their original cases, and also these protective cases. This was a really cool one, the Micro Machines, a TIE Fighter. Thought that was a pretty cool thing. I was into Micro Machines for a good while. This was a great one. You got to see the original Darth Vader, the Millennium Falcon, obviously the Slave One, which has obviously been renamed recently thanks to the Disney acquisition. Here we go, the Dagobah set. That is exactly what this gentleman was looking for. So here we had an AT-AT as well as the Millennium Falcon. You can see that the spaceship, the Millennium Falcon, was selling for $325. And then you can see even the Cloud car that was also sold. Now this table was actually all items that were sold. This was a great one, the TIE Interceptor from Lego, but you were not able to find this beauty, the Xbox 360 Star Wars edition. How cool is this? And it comes with the Kinect, but how cool is it able to find a Star Wars 360? I vaguely remember that coming out at the time. To see one actually in person still super, super cool. They also had a lot of Transformers, so check out this collection that this guy had here. Basically all ranges, all different types of generations. And here we have Hot Rod. I actually have this one as well. Maybe not all the guns with him that you see on this one, but the fact that he's selling for $90, very cool as well. But yeah, they did have a lot of really cool Transformers action figures. I don't think I took video of it, but there was a gentleman that had the original Gen 1 Optimus Prime in box with instructions, never opened. I figured if he was offering it for about $200, I would buy it. He wanted $800, so I kindly put it back on the shelf. This one here, you can see this Hot Rod is selling for $2,600. But here you can see some additional ones. These were just selling for insane prices. Yes, that does say $2,000 for some of these figures. I don't know if people actually pay for those at that price, but that is impressive. This was another one that just blew my mind. It is a sealed Unicron, $3,500, and this was in a 3-foot by 3-foot box, so obviously a massive Transformer. And we also had here was Jetfire, another really great Transformer. Now these were some of the newer Transformers that came out, but obviously we also had some of the older ones. Now we did have two different guns. This was the Tandy one, and we did have the Decepticons, the purple one. The gray one I was told was sold by Radio Shack, but I don't think that that was quite correct. What else I love to come across was any type of Ghostbuster action figure. So here we had some of the real Ghostbusters, and then I wasn't sure what line these were, but these Ghostbuster 2 figures were really great looking. Of course, we did have the Ghostbuster Firehouse. I had never owned that myself, but very cool to actually see, as well as a lot of the different vehicles that they used within the real Ghostbusters. Also the Proton Pack. This Proton Pack was another toy that I had. So it was great to see this one. $225 for the price on it. Actually, I don't think that would have been too bad, but I would probably like to get the Proton Pack that Spirit Halloween is selling if it's going to be that same type of a price range. This was another really great one, having I think this was about a foot-size Slimer, as well as some additional Ghostbuster action figures, each for selling about 80 bucks a piece. This was another great find, was the amount of Indiana Jones action figures. As far as I could tell, these were like the original ones. I was very interested in purchasing some of these, but again, the price on these were just astronomically higher than I was looking to purchase. Now, if you don't know who that guy is right there, that is Alf, a hilarious character from the 80s. He was an alien that came to Earth. Haven't seen very many Alf anything really, so it was really kind of a nice surprise to see him there as well. Brought back some instant memories. And of course, we did come across a good bit of lunch boxes. We do have a Batman versus Joker, Rambo, DuckTales, Friday the 13th, Karate Kid. Creepy Crawlers was another great one as well. Most girls had the Easy Bake Oven, the boys had the Creepy Crawlers. Last but not least, we did have G.I. Joe. Lots of different G.I. Joe action figures, both the same open box and completely sealed. We did see the fighter jet as well. Yeah, the G.I. Joes were very great, very cool to see, but I love this jet by the Cobra. G.I. Joe was one of those that you could have a lot of different figures themselves. It was very cool to see a lot of those. And now we have, of course, the He-Man Power Sword. This was one that I 100% remember having as a kid, and it was so much fun to play with. And of course, if you're a wrestling fan, we did have a lot of different NWO, Hulk Hogan, all the different types of stages. You can see all the different figures right here. And this was a really cool find, an actual chair from WrestleMania back in 2018, as well as the official program. Now, this was a very impressive lineup, all these different loose figures. These were all about, I guess, 10 to 12 inch tall action figures. I think that was about right, but just the lineup that they had here and the variety. My favorite were, of course, these Ghostbuster figures. And last but not least, we did have a decent variety of comic books. There were a lot of good Silver Age, there were some Golden Age, they did have obviously some CGC graded ones. Decently priced comics, some of them I think were a bit overpriced. That Amazing Spider-Man 300 that you saw there was something I was definitely interested in. And then of course we did have your Nintendo Entertainment Systems. This was a really cool display. I didn't even remember that robot up until I saw it here, but there were some massive amounts of NES games available. Super Nintendo, N64, Sega, Game Boy. Did find a Leisure Suit Larry game, which is not an official license release of it, but it's still cool to find nonetheless. So guys, thank you for joining me for my first collectibles show that I had ever been to in so many years. Again, this was the Retromania event that was in New Braunfels, Texas. It's an annual one, and I do see that they already have selected their date for this next year. It looks like it's going to be July 17th of 2026. I'll definitely be re-attending. Maybe we'll actually look to purchase something else this time. If you guys enjoyed it, definitely be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And until the next one, you guys have a great one.